What's up, peeps? It's me, your boy MC. Welcome back to Lego Therapy. Lego Light is on. We are live-ish in the Lego Lounge. Peeps, we are back for the review of the Mould King Vader's Lightsaber. I wanted to do this all in one video. I wanted to do the build and review, but unfortunately, there was a lot more to talk about than I originally anticipated. So here we are. This is not part of the set. This is just one of my crystals for my regular lightsabers, but how do you guys like that? I think this was the Father or something. Anyways, it's supposed to be Darth Vader's crystal. Enough sidetracking. All right, so a bunch to talk about. I'm going to try to keep this brief, but I'll do my best. I really want to cover this, though. So I'm just going to start with the things that I liked about it. So the lightsaber, first of all, as you can see, this thing takes up a significant amount of space on my table. If you guys didn't actually watch the build video, if you didn't, go check it out. But if you did, you see I did pull out one of my, Disney-sized lightsabers, and I put it up against it. And as you can, let's see. As you can see, the hilt is basically real life size. In fact, a little bit bigger. It's definitely thicker around, and it's just about an inch or two longer as far as the hilt goes. And then the blade, I don't know, I'd have to pull one out of my storage over there, but the blade is probably about the same size, but again, maybe about 10% thicker than what the Disney ones are. So for realism, I think that was pretty awesome. It looks like what it's supposed to be. It looks like Darth Vader's lightsaber. With an asterisk. We'll cover that later. But it really does look good, and that's kind of what got me to buy it. I talked about it, but I originally saw other lightsabers by Mould King, but I have a bunch of, as you can see, I have a bunch of lightsabers. I really just wanted Darth Vader's. I just think his is the coolest to me. Him and Samuel L. Jackson's. But anyways, the box looks really cool. I love the artwork on here. It's not anything special, but it's kind of like a Lego black box set. I think this was, this says 14 plus. But it's kind of like the Lego black box stuff. And then, the instructions overall, everything looked really good. So no real issues on that. Although you can see how they had this thing packaged. I even tried to smooth this out some, and you can see this was just shoved in there and kind of crinkled up, but that wasn't the end of the world. Let me pause real quick. So the stand I thought was phenomenal. This thing looks really awesome. It's got all these clear pieces, true clear pieces, not colored clear pieces, but true clear. The base is nice, solid black. And then, you got your little nameplate here. Unfortunately, they did make this nameplate sticker that they placed over 3 2x3 tiles. Why is my camera like that? What happened here? Goodness gracious. There we go. They put it over 2 2x3 tiles. Would you focus? You can see does not want to focus today. Let's turn autofocus off. There we go. Displayed as a symbol of fear, forged in darkness, and wielded by the Emperor Enforcer. Well, that was kind of neat. Whatever. It's one sticker compared to the many stickers we get with Lego many times, so I was not totally bummed about it. It's not my favorite to have stickers, but it is what it is. That was not a deal breaker for me. and I did really enjoy putting this piece together. What else is good? Overall, so one of the things that I realized as I was going through the instructions is the instructions are good. They're just different. So whereas Lego will usually only put, and I say Lego, Lumi Bricks, Fantasy, who else have I built? I just did the Zuru Max sets recently, the Mega Block sets. The majority of the companies that I've built so far, they tend to keep only 1 or 2 steps per page. Mould King had a tendency to put many steps per page, sometimes 4 or 5. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps on this page alone. So it was just different. It was something I had to get used to, and I did get in the flow of it eventually, but it was just a little bit challenging because sometimes you would just, it happened to me a couple times. I just totally missed steps because there's so much packed into one page. One of the things I did like that they did is they would show you what you're about to be building so that you can see where you're getting to. And they did, use the, hey, you're going to be built on the first step of a section. They say it's going to be 2x. Okay, so I'm building this multiple times. So I like to, when I see something like that, I like to build both of them at the same time, so I don't have to go through all the pages and then go back and start over. That's my preference. So I like when they do that. So for the most part, I thought the instructions were good, but then there were times where they weren't. There were steps completely left out. Well, I'll come back to that. I'm still trying to talk about the things that I like. They do use the red borders around pieces to show you, hey, this is the new piece being added on. They did use arrows to try to show you exactly which studs are connecting to which. I thought that was really good. If there was a specialized way of putting something together, for example, right here, they got this section right here where you're putting these 2 sections together, and they want you to see exactly how it's supposed to do. So they broke it out and they said, here, put it in a red box, let you know this is exactly what you're dealing with. From time to time, there were notes in here, like some of the rods were carbon fiber rods, so they're letting you know, use that correct rod. They do put, like, on things that are multi-hold or multi-studded, they would put the number 15, 13, 7 to let you know exactly how many you're dealing with. There was times where there was maybe a question between this one or this one, and they would definitely put, like, yes, this one, not this one. Like they were breaking it down for you, so there shouldn't have been really any confusion. Even on the areas where in the picture, I'm looking at this piece right here. I'll bring that up again. This piece, if you just look at the picture, it looks like these are white, but really they're this silver, right? So it says plating. So hey, I'm using the silver chromed pieces, not a white piece. So I thought most of this, again, was good, but I will come back. There are a couple things that I need to talk about. So I'm still trying to talk about the good right now. I did love all the use of clear pieces and colored clear pieces. I thought that really added to it. The chromed out pieces are so cool. Although on the underside of them, where the studs attach, a couple pieces I could see this is a spray on. Okay, so I have a feeling that over time, this, if handled a bunch, right? Like, to say I wanted to play with this, I have a feeling over time, this chromed out stuff is just going to wipe or wear off. But I do like the way it looks, and I don't intend to play with it. So not a huge deal. Brick quality. I Googled it. They do use Go bricks. So the brick quality was very good. I had no real issues in anything going together too tight, too loose. There was no, other than the fact that there was a lot of 1x1 pieces or things connecting by one stud, you know, there was no real issues in regards to that. I thought that was done very, very well. Is there anything else I can say about this that was really good? You know, the price. I'd have to pull it up real quick. Let me see if I can find where I bought this, because it wasn't that long ago that I ordered it. So 1,627 plus pieces. I still don't understand why it says it that way, but here it is. Let's see. View order details. How much did I pay for this thing? Of course, it's not going to list it the way I want it to list it, but okay, yeah, $70. And I believe on their website it was $80, but they did have it on sale on Amazon for $70. So you do the math on that real quick. 70 divided by 1627 plus comes out to about 4.3 cents per piece. And this did come with a lighting kit. So on that, man, what a great price for your price per piece. Anything else I can say on the positive side? I'd say the first half of my build experience was really good. Building this was definitely great. At this point, I still had really high hopes for this build. As I built out the top part of the hilt, I still had decent hope that this was going to be a really great build. As we started working our way down into the lower half of the hilt, and then the lightsaber portion itself, the blade, if you will, that's where things started to change. So, wrapping back around to my original point about appearance. So this is, as I said, a lighted set, but here are my lights. Now, I will take a very small level of responsibility on this. When you first open up the book, it shows, you know, a bunch of this is not in English. They have their English version, but the English is, the translations aren't the greatest. I tried to find digital instructions, could not find them. They have this QR code. It takes you to something called WeChat. I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm not downloading that. They do have an app, but it doesn't work very well at all. In fact, on the store, on the app store or whatever, it has horrible ratings. So it was like a 1 point something. But on page 2 here, it tells you this comes with a lighting package. And it says, test. Bad, contact help. Good, get starts. And then there's like some other thing going on here. It says, shows bag 4, lack. I don't even know what that means, but it does break down, another positive, it breaks down what pages are going to be what bags. But it doesn't tell you how to test the lighting kit. It doesn't tell you, it just tells you test it. So having had some experience with lighting kits in the past, I grabbed the little power box. It did come with a USB-C cable. Now, again, this is a little bit dummy MC. I went and plugged up the box, and then I plugged in the light kit. And by the way, the light only goes into the box one way. I tried it both. I tried it the other way first, and then I looked at it, and I looked at the box, and I was like, nope, it only goes in there one way. So I put it in, clipped right in easily. But then I turned it on, it didn't work. Oh, Lego light goes. It didn't work. And I was like, huh, this stinks. And I tried like holding down the button, thinking maybe if I hold it down, it was going to work. And it didn't. It just, something didn't click. So then I walked away. I was like, all right, let me think about this. Let me think about other lighting kits. And then I just, having it unplugged from the socket, I just hit the button and the lights came on. I was like, oh yeah, duh. The cable is just to charge the box, not to plug it in. It's not like when I did the cuckoo clock and you got to have it plugged up for it to run. That makes total sense. It didn't, but again, it didn't even tell you how to test the lights. So, tested lights, lights work. But in order to put these lights in there, then you have to disconnect it from the power box, because this didn't come in till much later in the build. You got to run this, the wire is supposed to run through the hilt, the top part of the hilt, and into this box. But again, this box doesn't come in till much later. And then it eventually runs all the way up through here, which is also a little bit problematic, because then the rest of the build, I would have been dealing with all of this on my table. Well, I go to disconnect the wire from the box, and it instantly rips out. And I was like, what the heck? So then I was like, all right, these are very small wires, but probably not impossible for me to rewire them into the little coupler. I have a little tiny bit of electrical knowledge. So I tried getting a pair of tweezers and pulling that coupler back out of the box. It just crumbled. The plastic of the coupler, it's still in there, but the part that you could still grip on at first, it just crumbled. And I'm literally using the tweezers that I got from Lumi Bricks for their lighting kits. So it's not sharp. It's got rounded tips. It's very flat because it's literally designed for the lighting kits, and it just crumbled. So at that point, I'm now very, very frustrated. And I said, you know what? I'm already so deep into this build. I'm not going to stop and contact them. I'll just build it without lights, and see where this goes. So when I talk about appearance, it looks like a lightsaber, except for the fact that it can't light up. So that kind of took a lot out of it for me. So then the other piece to that, I forgot where I was going with that. Sorry. No lighting kit. No. That was a huge bummer for me, but I still would have been cool with this set if that was the only real issue. At that point, I obviously was now mentally out of it a little bit, because I'm frustrated that things are breaking on me for no good reason. But as I got into the build process, I started noticing just strange things. Like the instructions, like I said, for a while, they were flowing very well. This, no issues. But then once you got into the hilt is where things started having problems. Okay, so here's another point I need to bring up. There was 4 bags, but really 4 sections of build, right? But there was 2 bag 1s, 2 bag 4s, and then one bag of 2 and 1 bag of 3. It's like 6 bags, but then each of the big bags had bags in them too. And then one of the things that was really odd to me was these pieces here, these little brackets. I'll show you guys. These little brackets, there was a whole bag full of them. And actually there's 2 bags full of them. right? The little side brackets where it's just a stud on top and the stud on is literally just a stud on the side, right? They got the ones that face down and the ones that face up. There was a giant bag of them each, and that came in bag 1. So then you move on, you get done with bag 1, and I've still got a whole bowl full of these pieces, and I'm like, what did I mess up? How did I use these pieces? Well, you needed them later in the build, but it doesn't tell you that in the instructions. Okay, so that really started messing with my head too. Okay, now I've got broken lights. Now I've got a bucket full of pieces that I have no idea what to do with. The instructions aren't telling me to just save them for later in the build. And then I start noticing weird stuff, like there's just steps not in here. Now there was a once or twice where I just missed steps because, again, they're putting so many steps on a page. Like, look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps on one page. Now maybe that was meant to save space in the book. I don't know. But it's just a lot on a page. So once or twice I did miss a step. But they had steps just not in here. And the only reason I discovered it is because you get onto a page and you see the pieces on the hilt and you're like, wait a minute, did I miss that step? So you go back and it's not there. It's not there. So I even start looking at the little pictures that tell you which pieces you're using on this step. Not there. They're just not there. I'm like, what the heck? So, okay, let me put these pieces on. I just, again, I feel like whoever designed this is not the same person that designed this. I don't know where the disconnect was, because this was very good. But as we got into this, it just kept getting weirder and weirder. You know, there was some interesting build techniques. Oh, this is another thing. So I'll throw a picture up on the screen, but if you've ever seen the, we all know what a jumper plate is. It's a 1x2 with the hole in the middle instead of off on each side. Well, they had a 2x2 jumper plate where it's, you know, 2x2 hole in the middle of the 4, except it's not. It's cut. I don't know if this is a trademark thing or what, but it's like they took a 2x2 jumper plate with the hole in the dead center and they sliced it down the middle. And I'm like, why did they do this? Because that made a lot of this process unnecessarily difficult. I don't know if it was meant to increase your piece count or what, or again, if maybe it's a trademark thing, but almost all the pieces here are just like Lego pieces. So I just find that really hard to believe. It's almost like they just wanted to make it unique for their own sake. Or maybe it has to do with some other sets that they produce. I don't know. I just wasn't really a fan of the sliced in half 2x2 jumper plate. It's just because most of the time, the way they set up the Seance bricks in here, most of the time that 2x2, or it ends up being a 1x2, right? But it's only half of the piece that you need to attach other bricks to eventually. It's only hanging on by one stud. And so it just keeps scissoring around. And you have to keep pushing it back to the middle to get that one stud, because the two bricks make, or the two, you know, plates, whatever, make one stud eventually to attach pieces down the middle. If it had been a true 2x2, it would have had 2 studs on top and none on bottom, or 2 studs on bottom and none on top. Totally would have been fine. But when you've got a 1x2 attached to one stud, and by the way, you need 2 of these things together to be the solidification of the pieces that are eventually coming down the middle. it's just, I don't know. It was unnecessarily difficult. You know, we talked about the snot brick. I said this is the first true snot brick I've ever seen because it didn't have a stud on top. Except then you have these little tiny pieces. I'll throw a picture up on the screen. This little tiny square with a stud that you end up sticking into that brick to give it a stud on top. So again, I don't know if that's meant to increase the piece count or what, but it was an odd choice if you ask me. That's neither bad nor good, just odd. Moving into it, again, there was a bunch of interesting build techniques going on in the internals of the hilt here, of the handle portion, that I feel like they could have thrown some extra like spacers or something in there to make it line up exactly where you need it, because you kind of were guessing. They were using rods and connectors and whatnot, and then you eventually slide them onto axles in order to secure these handle sections in place, except they weren't, I don't know what's going on with the Lego light today. They weren't spaced correctly, and all I did was put them all the way down the way you would do anything, but then I had to manually move them out in order to fit the axles the way they had them placed on the internals. So again, not an insanely bad thing, just it kind of took you out. Also, you can kind of tell. Now, this is not really a complaint, but it did get quite repetitive. Both in this portion of the build and in the actual blade. You just kind of got repetitive. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. Could you have done anything differently? I don't know, because it's circular. What are you gonna do? But it just did. After a while, you're like, all right, we're doing this again. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? I'm trying to remind myself all the things as I look through the book. Yeah, just so much of this. All right, so this is where I really started getting annoyed. Like truly, truly, truly annoyed. These little pieces right here, they look like a pirate's telescope or whatever. Okay, they're using these. I'll show you how they used them. They're using these as connectors. You put 4 of them on there, and then you put this, I can't remember what this piece is called, but you put that piece down on top. By the way, you got to get it all the way down that rod, and then get it to connect into those 4 telescopes. I have no clue why they chose to use those 4 little telescopes as support. It was easily one of the worst ideas I've ever seen. I was sitting there initially when I got about this far into it. I was like, man, things don't feel like they're lining up correctly. So then I pulled it back apart, pulled off the exterior shells here, which these look really cool, by the way. I pulled off these exterior shells, and I realized that those 2x2 circular bricks, whatever the hell they're called, I can't remember, they were not lining up with the telescope studs. So I had to sit there and each one push it into the stud recess in order to get them to line up. And because they're not really meant for what they did it for, it just wasn't solid. It just keeps wanting to pop apart. I don't understand that design. It didn't make any sense to me. I don't know why they didn't just put more of those 2x2 circles in there. I wish I knew what the heck this piece is called. I don't even have a name for it, to be honest, because I don't see them very often in sets, but it just wasn't lining up. It just wasn't lining up. And so I had to keep manually resetting them, and then I'd work up the rod a little bit, add some more stuff on, then you'd get another one. And you'd see, and by the way, I think you can tell, the blade is not sitting, even though I know, like, I'm trying not to touch it right now because it's so brittle. I was trying to make it look a little better before I started recording, and it just started falling apart on me. Half the rods are not connected in there right now. It's barely holding on for dear life. So I don't want to pick it up. I hate this because I can't even really show off the good details of this thing because it's just going to fall apart. I do not understand this design choice. There's definitely, they could have just used more of those 2x2s and stacked them up. Like, I don't know. This choice didn't make any sense to me, and it's very unstable. Again, I don't know what the thought process was, because this built very well. This section built fairly well. Everything else was a nightmare. The other thing with this whole process that I thought could have been improved is like I said, they had the 4 sections. I thought they could have broke it down into smaller sections because there was just so much in each bag. I'm like, I don't understand the reasoning for so many pieces in a single bag. They easily could have broken it down into, even because there were six bags total, but there was a bunch, again, smaller bags of small pieces inside. Each big bag had like 2 or 3 small bags inside. So I feel like they could have broken this down into like maybe 8 or even 10 sections total. I don't know why so much was crammed in. I don't know why there's so many steps on each page. Just kind of, I don't know. It wasn't very well thought out, I don't think. Here's another thing that I thought about as I was building this. I wonder how many times somebody tested building this. I feel like this is one of those things that when you put it in a program, it probably looks really cool. It probably works great. But in practice, not so great. Because even this part of the hilt to this part of the hilt is not super stable. It's got some, let's see if you can tell. Like, can you see that? It's not really locked in there. It's just kind of loose. It's in there. If I took the whole blade off, it's not terrible, but it's not super secure. Like, I'm not going to do this with it because it's going to freaking fall apart. Again, this, very well designed. I don't know what happened with the rest of this. Yeah, it's probably my top 2 worst builds ever. And I started that video off talking about how I use Lego for my therapy and how it helps me. And boy, this set really challenged that theory. I had a tough time with it. I got through it. Again, I think probably number 2 worst build I've ever done. But yeah, I don't know what else I can say. Said it looked cool. Certain parts were fun to build. Pretty decent price value. I thought about, for a little bit, I considered just tearing it all apart and trying to start again. But I don't know that I even want to. It was very, very frustrating. I may just disassemble the whole thing and dump it in my parts bin because I really don't know what else. I don't see this, the way it's designed, I don't see this ever being a solid build. I don't even know how I could display this without worrying that it's going to just fall apart. I had such high hopes. I was so excited for this build, and it totally let me down. So I don't even want to give it a grade. It wasn't a good experience. It wasn't the worst experience, but it wasn't a good experience. And that's the other piece to this is I had heard good things about Mould King before. If you guys have been with me for a while, you know my channel's called Lego Therapy. I started out full in on Lego, and then as I started following some of you guys and checking out some of the other channels, I started seeing people talk about a lot of these alternate brands, the Fun Hole, now Lumi Bricks, Fantasy, and Mould King, and so many other alternative brands. And so that's when I said, oh, okay, well, I see these people that know a lot about what they're talking about, and they're saying good things. So I will trust their judgment. And for the most part, that has worked. I have not seen anybody that I know build this, but I have seen people build Mould King before, but I think it was mostly vehicles. So with that being said, I won't totally rule Mould King out forever. I cannot recommend this set at all, or any of their lightsabers, because I just, based on this one, and this is their newest one. So if this is their newest one, I can't imagine what the other ones are like. But I cannot recommend this brand for a lightsaber. I can't speak on Lego's lightsabers. I know they had some, but I think the Lego lightsaber was just the hilt. I don't think they went as far as doing the blade. I don't have any of them, so I can't speak intelligently on that. But I just think it was, you know what? That may be what I do. I may just lose the entire blade and see if I can rework the connection point between the top and the bottom of the hilt somehow, and just have the hilt. That is the most important part, but I was so stoked about it having the lights and being able to light it up. It was a letdown. So now, I won't rule Mould King out of my life forever, but this is my opinion as of right now. Can't recommend. Don't think it's very good. The design is just very poor. Now, if Mould King wants to send me a new set and maybe improve their instructions and you know, I don't know. They could maybe change my mind. Maybe I'd do an updated review. But as of right now, I feel like I lost money. I feel like I threw away money on this set because it's just too much flawed. Like I said, I'm afraid to even look at. There it goes. I barely touched it, and you can see there's the base. That's the hilt, and it's just not a solid structure. I'll have to think about it. As of right now, this is probably going in a parts bin. I just don't know what else to say. So, peeps, sorry for the kind of disappointing review. This is not what I was hoping to be doing. I was hoping to have all of it in one video and say, yay, this is the greatest set ever. Look at it light up. And yeah, I was very excited, and I got let down, but you know, you live and you learn. Sometimes you take a chance, and sometimes that chance bites you in the butt. So, anywho, that's that's my Mould King Darth Vader lightsaber review. What'd you think? Peeps, if you guys enjoyed this review, English is hard, peeps. You knew it was coming at some point. If you enjoyed this review, please do all the things. Check out the actual build video. And yeah, we'll be back with something better. Don't worry. This isn't the end of the world. It's just a little hiccup. So thanks for coming. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, holla!